The desert air of Lusail shimmered under the floodlights, a stark contrast to the glacial performance of the Ferrari SF25 that weekend. Qatar 2025, a race etched into the annals of Formula One, not for a championship decider, but for a humiliation that reverberated through the very core of Maranello. Lewis Hamilton, the seven-time world champion, found himself starting a dismal 18th, strapped into a machine universally dismissed as having zero performance. Pre-race expectations for the struggling Scuderia and its legendary new recruit were not just low, they were non-existent, a vacuum of hope stretching across the paddock. Yet, what unfolded on that scorching asphalt was a brutal, undeniable truth delivered by Hamilton himself. His race performance didn't just expose the SF25's flaws, it ripped open Ferrari's strategic soul, leaving team principal Fred Vasseur utterly speechless, and their golden boy Charles Leclerc questioning every single belief he held about his car, his team, and perhaps even himself. The core question that still haunts the sport today: how did a driver in what was undeniably the worst car on the grid not only humiliate the entire paddock, but also plunge Ferrari into a state of sheer terror over the revelations he unwittingly brought to light? To understand the seismic shockwaves Hamilton unleashed, one must first grasp the abysmal state of the SF25. This was not merely a slow car, it arrived in Lusail as a wounded animal, a scarlet beast that was unstable, unpredictable, and seemingly uncontrollable. From the moment it hit the track, it bucked and weaved, defying every attempt by its engineers and drivers to tame its wild spirit. This inherent instability manifested disastrously during qualifying sessions. Hamilton, a master of extracting every tenth from any machinery, found himself battling not just rivals but the car itself. He was eliminated in Q1 not once but twice, both for the sprint race and the main Grand Prix, a truly shocking outcome for a driver of his caliber. His radio message, broadcast globally, was chilling in its calm acceptance. The car won't go faster. There was no frustration in his tone, no anger, just a cold, hard acknowledgement of an undeniable reality. He wasn't fighting the limits, he had simply found them far too soon. His teammate Charles Leclerc fared little better, barely scraping into Q3 by pushing the SF25 to its absolute breaking point, visibly spinning violently as he wrestled with its inherent instability. It was a desperate, white-knuckled fight against a machine that simply refused to cooperate. The stark reality was that Ferrari's engineers had openly admitted months prior that development on the SF25 had effectively ceased in April, with all resources ruthlessly diverted towards the distant promise of the 2026 regulations. While rivals like McLaren, Red Bull, and even Mercedes continued to refine and evolve their current platforms, Ferrari remained stagnant, a fossilized giant, watching the world progress around it. The once mighty Scuderia was trapped in a self-imposed purgatory, a strategic gamble that had left its 2025 season in tatters. As race day dawned, a sense of resigned fatalism hung heavy over the Ferrari garage. Hamilton, starting from an almost hopeless P18, was given no illusions. Internal team projections were grim, no points, no miracles, just a desperate plea for damage minimization. The prevailing wisdom across the paddock was that this was merely a damage limitation exercise for both drivers, a painful prelude to a forgotten season. Even rival drivers couldn't hide their pity. Pierre Gasly, encountering Hamilton before the race, offered a blunt, almost sympathetic assessment. "Looks really bad, mate." It was a sentiment echoed by every pundit, every fan, and every weary mechanic in the Ferrari pit box. No one, absolutely no one, expected anything less than a long, frustrating afternoon for Lewis Hamilton. But what they were about to witness would rewrite the narrative, shatter preconceived notions, and ignite a firestorm that would engulf Ferrari in a crisis of epic proportions. The lights went out, and the world held its breath. Starting P18 in the struggling Ferrari SF25, Lewis Hamilton was expected to deliver another dismal performance. Instead, what unfolded was a masterclass in driving, defying logic, and shattering expectations. From the very first meter, Hamilton drove like a man possessed, his car an extension of his will, not the wounded animal it had been described as. His start was aggressive, yet precise. A ballet of controlled chaos as he threaded through the mid-pack. On lap 1, the overtakes began, surgical and relentless. He carved through the field with predatory efficiency, each move calculated, each gap exploited. Commentators, initially dismissive, scrambled for superlatives as Hamilton's Q1 eliminated Ferrari began its impossible ascent. By lap 15, he was not just in the points, but firmly entrenched, battling vastly superior cars. The Ferrari pit wall, usually a hive of stressed activity, fell into stunned silence, their pre-race projections utterly obliterated. The truly baffling part arrived around lap 30. Hamilton on hard tyres was not merely holding position, he was running at a podium pace. A podium pace in a car his own team had labelled uncontrollable, a car whose development had ceased months ago. Engineers poring over telemetry found themselves in utter perplexity. The numbers simply didn't add up. Simulator data, predicting inherent instability and lack of speed, was openly contradicted by the reality unfolding on track. It was as if Hamilton was driving a different car entirely or seeing a different track. His unique approach was the key. Hamilton didn't just drive the SF25, he deciphered it. Where Charles Leclerc aggressively fought the car's inherent instability, Hamilton found a way to coexist with its flaws. He discovered new braking zones, altered corner trajectories with imperceptible micro-adjustments, and smoothed every transition, minimizing the SF25's twitchiness rather than overpowering it. He entered a profound race mode, disconnected from external noise, focused solely on the intricate dance between man and machine, extracting every last millisecond of performance. His execution was flawless. While rivals melted tyres on Qatar's abrasive asphalt, Hamilton displayed impeccable tyre management, making his harder compounds last longer and perform better. His overtakes were calculated, surgical and relentless. Never a wasted movement, never an error. He transformed what was considered an impossible car into a formidable weapon, a testament to his unparalleled ability to adapt and innovate under extreme pressure. He didn't just drive, he redefined the SF25's limits. When the dust settled and media descended upon the Ferrari garage, Fred Vasseur had no answers. His usual calm was replaced by visible bewilderment, a silence that spoke volumes. Hamilton had not just scored points, he had achieved the impossible. He proved unequivocally that the SF25 could perform, provided the driver possessed a profound, intuitive understanding that transcended its documented limitations. This wasn't a victory for Ferrari, it was a crisis. A deep, unsettling revelation that shook the very foundations of their technical understanding. The core problem, now glaringly obvious, was that if Hamilton could extract this level of performance from the SF25, a level Charles Leclerc demonstrably could not, then the issue isn't just the car. It was its interpretation. Leclerc had publicly stated the SF25 had zero performance, a narrative accepted as gospel, but Hamilton, in the exact same car, under the exact same conditions, not only contradicted that assertion, but spectacularly disproved it. He exposed a chasm, a profound difference in approach and capability that Ferrari could no longer ignore. The implications were staggering, threatening to unravel the team's entire development philosophy and driver hierarchy. Lewis Hamilton's impossible drive created a dangerous internal crack within the very foundations of Scuderia Ferrari. The team's primary driver, Charles Leclerc, had openly described the SF25 as an uncontrollable monster, a car with zero performance. Yet his new teammate had just wrestled that exact same beast to a near-podium finish. This stark contrast wasn't merely a difference in driving styles, it was a profound contradiction that rendered Ferrari's technical decision-making unreliable. If the feedback from one driver painted a picture of utter futility, while another simultaneously extracted extraordinary pace, on whose counsel should the engineers now build the future? Technical development, once a streamlined process guided by driver input, now faced a crisis of confidence, risking leading the team further astray. Hamilton's return to championship-level performance, even in a broken car, exposed a critical gap in Leclerc's race adaptation and mental resilience that Ferrari could no longer afford to ignore. For too long, the narrative had been that the car was the sole impediment. Qatar shattered that comfortable illusion. Suddenly, the Italian press, which had been so quick to criticise Hamilton's move to Maranello, fell into an uncharacteristic silence. The Qatar Grand Prix had not just validated Ferrari's decision to sign Hamilton, it had emphatically justified it, showcasing his unparalleled problem-solving ability under the most impossible conditions. He was brought in to elevate the team, and he was already doing it, albeit in a way that caused immense internal friction. Now, the road ahead for Ferrari branches into terrifyingly different scenarios. The first, and arguably most hopeful, is that Ferrari truly listens. This path demands a meticulous study of Hamilton's telemetry, an analytical deep dive into his unique inputs, his braking points, his cornering arcs, and his uncanny tyre management. If Ferrari embraces this data, if they dare to build their 2026 Challenger, Project 677, based on the nuanced feedback and the profound understanding Hamilton demonstrated with the SF25, they could genuinely construct a championship machine. It would be a car designed not just by engineers, but by the very driver, who unlocked the secrets of its predecessor, transforming chaos into a controlled weapon. However, there is a second, far more perilous scenario. Ferrari panics. Hamilton's sensational performance while validating his signing could easily be viewed internally as an existential threat to Leclerc's confidence and status as the team's future. The internal politics, already a volatile element within Maranello, could poison the partnership, creating an environment of mistrust and division. If Ferrari fails to manage this delicate dynamic, if they prioritize one driver's comfort over another's proven ability to deliver, Hamilton could very well become disillusioned. He might then potentially leave mid-2026, taking with him not just his unparalleled talent, but all the crucial lessons, the hard-won insights into car development that Ferrari desperately needs. Meanwhile, the entire Formula One paddock watched. Red Bull, McLaren and Mercedes all witnessed Hamilton's extraordinary drive. They saw a driver, supposedly in the twilight of his career, with a car universally deemed zero performance, still capable of performing miracles. The realization dawned on them, even at this advanced stage. Even with a broken machine, Lewis Hamilton remains the most dangerous, adaptable, and relentlessly competitive driver on the grid. He is a force of nature, capable of turning the impossible into the plausible. Qatar wasn't just a race, it was a seismic event. Was it a one-off miracle, a fleeting moment of brilliance that will fade? Or was it a definitive blueprint for Ferrari's future? A harsh lesson delivered by their new star? Can Charles Leclerc regain his confidence and adapt his driving style? Or has Hamilton permanently altered the team's internal hierarchy, shaking the very foundations of what they thought they knew about their car and their drivers? The ultimate terrifying question for Ferrari is this: if Lewis Hamilton can achieve this with a car that had zero performance, what happens when Ferrari finally gives him a genuinely working one? The 2026 season will not merely be decided by engine power or aerodynamic efficiency, but by which team can truly transform internal chaos into controlled, championship-winning precision. Is Lewis Hamilton Ferrari's ultimate savior, or has he just become their biggest, most uncomfortable problem